So in the last video, I shared with you what the imposter complex does in theory. It tries to keep you out of action, doubting your capacity, and feeling alone and isolated, and feeling unworthy, right? Feeling like the fraud, like your vision's far too big, it's for somebody else, so you best stay over here on the precipice. And nobody wants to feel like that because it feels terrible. So to avoid this experience, we cope by hanging out in very specific behavioral traits. So I'm going to break those down for you so we can see how it works in practice, in real life. So listen for the behavioral trait that you find yourself going to most often. Maybe you're somebody who engages in perfectionism because you want to compensate for your perceived inadequacies. Or because you're so convinced that it's just a matter of time before they find out that you're a fraud or a fake or an imposter, so you hang out in procrastination to delay it. Or you don't want to draw any attention to yourself, so you diminish. Maybe you're somebody who compares because you're so convinced that you're never going to quite stack up. Or maybe you're somebody who, to make sure that you belong, you are really deeply invested in making sure that everybody likes you and you're a people pleaser. Or you could be somebody who has leaky boundaries and lets everybody else's needs come up before their own. I'm going to pause here because I really want to acknowledge that these behavioral traits in and of themselves are not wrong or bad. In fact, they've probably been very useful to you in some way, shape, or form. So I really want to dial that down a little bit. Your perfectionism may be the reason that you have enjoyed the success that you have had. Perhaps your procrastination is actually a really great indicator of your discernment. Maybe you diminish because you actually have experienced what it feels like to be burned for shining too brightly. And if you are in any way other than the dominant culture, people-pleasing may have been a vital part of your survival. So I just want to make sure that we aren't making any of these things wrong. My concern is what happens when we over-identify with these behaviors, when we hang out in them far too long and we don't get ourselves off of the precipice. Because when we over-identify, when we hang out too long in these behaviors, the great paradox is they actually contribute to our experience of feeling like an imposter. So let me say that again. By going to these behaviors to cope with the imposter complex, they actually make us feel more like the imposter. So for instance, if you are somebody who is a perfectionist, you may find yourself working 2 to 3 times as hard as anyone else to make sure that your work is impeccable so nobody finds out that you don't belong. Okay? But here's what happens. After you engage in this long enough, you start to look up and realize nobody else has to work 2 to 3 times as hard like you do. Clearly, you must be the imposter. Or if you're somebody who has leaky boundaries and you are always agreeing with other people and standing in opinions that aren't yours, you are going to feel like the imposter. Or if you are a people pleaser and people offer you opportunities, you may discount those opportunities as them just liking you, not because you are truly skilled and talented and truly excellent at what it is you do, and you are. So that's how that works. It gets you coming and going. These are these double binds. And it's like this multi-headed hydra because these behaviors can play off of each other, which is why I find this endlessly fascinating. In my next video to you, I'm going to show you another way forward. And it's really substantial because it also comes with my deepest desire and my greatest wish for you. See you then.